Joe. All right. Hey guys, how you doing? Let me know in the comments that you can hear me clearly. Ruby, rust. Let me know, and I will proceed with the show, and then we'll cover the Rust versus C++ situation that's brewing. I thought you guys would find this interesting, and then we'll do a little Q&A. The usual stuff. Thanks for joining the show. All right, so if you've been following me the last few months, I was in Florida for the last 4 months. I'm back, and yeah, not bad. Okay, so how many are we here? All right, okay, so how many are we? 34 people. Small group so far today. So I'll give people a few minutes to get on board, and I'll answer some questions in the meantime. Let's see how we're doing. All right, guys. What do I see with the nerd eyes? Yeah, I'll let you know my perceptions of things. Hello, Real Songs. Hope everything is well. Hey, Trey Brown. That's me. Yes, you are, Joel. Hello. Hey, Amir. How are you? I just can't get a job. I'm in Africa. What should I do, boss? Well, if you want to get a job outside of Africa, let's say in English-speaking parts of the world, then you got to improve your English skills, get your LinkedIn profile built up. How's the latency on this? It's a little slow, eh? Testing. It's a little out of sync. Hold on a second. Let me just see if I can fix that. I'm just doing little tweaks here. My apologies. Audio. Hello. Testing. How's this? Hello. Testing. Does that help at all? Hello. All right. If I go like this, what happens? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just seeing if there's a sound. Is there a sound delay with regards to the audio? Let me know in the comments if it looks pretty clean. It's a little off, I guess, but I think we can manage. All right, guys. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Let's see. How are we? 46. Okay, I'm going to start the subject at hand, Rust versus C++. So I found a piece online, and there's a bit of a battle brewing, so let me just jump into it. And then I'll do a little Q&A as usual. Hold on. Pause that. We'll go here and here. All right, here's the piece. So Rust developers at Google are twice as productive as C++ teams. That's what Bergstrom is saying. So let's get into it, and I'll give you my comments along the way. Echoing the past 2 years of Rust evangelism and C++ in UI, Google reports that Rust shines in production to the point that its developers are twice as productive using the language compared to C++. Speaking at this conference in London this week, Lars Bergstrom, director of engineering at Google, who worked on the Android platform tools and libraries, described the Web Titans experience migrating projects in Go or C++ to the Rust programming language. So he's talking about moving to Rust. Bergstrom said that while Dropbox in 2016, Figma in 2018 offered early accounts of rewriting code in memory-safe Rust, and doubts about productivity and the language have subsided. So basically, as they're going along with this whole thing, they're finding that their concerns about Rust reliability and security are not founded. Even 6 months ago, this was a really tough conversation, he said. I would go and I would talk to people, and they would say, wait, you have an unsafe keyword. That means we should all write C++ until the heat death of the universe. But there's been a shift in awareness across the software development ecosystem, Bergstrom's argued, about the challenges of using non-memory safe languages. Such messaging is now coming from government authorities, as I mentioned in a previous video, in the US and other nations who understand the role software plays in critical infrastructure. The reason is that the majority of security vulnerabilities in large code bases can be traced to memory security bugs, and since Rust and other languages can largely, if not totally, avoid such problems when properly implemented, memory safety now looks a lot like a national security issue. Now, there you go. Back in September 2022, Microsoft Azure CTO Mark Russinovich argued that software projects might have been started in C++ should use Rust instead. That recommendation now extends beyond greenfield projects to calls for reworking old code in non-memory safe language. To calls for reworking old code written in non-memory safe languages. Here we go. Earlier this year, Microsoft put out a call for developers to help port its own C# code to Rust, and the Internet Security Research Group Prosimo project has been rewriting core open source elements of its critical libraries, DNS, etc., in Rust for the sake of memory safety. There's been here's the battle. Here's the battle I was referencing in the title of this the video. And the battle is there's been a pushback from C++ creator Bjarne Stroop. I didn't say that right. So you understand. And others. So not just him. In response to the memo, okay, I won't read this. I'll give you a link to the article below. But essentially, he's saying that you can get the safety in C++ if you just write C++ properly. And so further on in the article, here it is. While there's more to software security than memory safety, the cost advantage that the C++ creator claims can be realized by sticking with existing C++ infrastructure now faces counterexamples from Rust adopters Google. No loss in productivity, quite the opposite. At the chocolate factory, turning Go code, which you consider memory safe, but not as performant, into Rust has shown noteworthy improvements. Anyway, I'll link you to that article so that you can read the details yourself. But let me just get into it. So, in a nutshell, there's this battle brewing between the C++ guys who are saying, no, if you just use C++ properly, you can get the safety, the memory safety that you got with memory safe languages like Rust. People are using slower memory safe languages like Java and Go. They're starting to look at Rust to migrate even that code for speed, for performance in certain circumstances. Now, another thing that they talked about was how long does it take to train somebody up new to get them confident in Rust? And based on surveys, it's a few months. It's not very long, not very long at all. So it's not like it's going to take a year to get somebody up to speed in Rust if they're moved from C++ or Java or something. So that's interesting. And one other comment was made was they were talking about how great the code was, how more performant the code was when they migrated, when they took old C++ libraries, turned them into Rust. And the C people are arguing, well, if you refactor any code, you rewrite any code from scratch, you're going to get better performance. You're going to get cleaner code. That is the case. That is the case. I can tell you that. You take any code base and you go back at it and you start rewriting it fresh, with fresh eyes, with fresh nerd eyes, you're going to get better code. And that's what refactoring is all about. One of my recommendations for anybody who's getting it, who's kind of like a beginner intermediate coder and you want to level up your game, instead of learning a new library, a new framework or something, learn refactoring. There's links to books below on refactoring. There's one for Java, one for JavaScript, but they work for all the languages, so all the modern languages. So yeah, if you want to get better at coding, refactor. So there you go. There's the battle is brewing between the old C++, old school C++ developers versus Rust. So what do I think? Well, I haven't played with Rust. I don't have a technical opinion about whether Rust is better than C++ and whatnot. That said, I have always used so-called memory managed languages, whether it be Java, C#, JavaScript, Python, PHP, and others. So I avoided, even back in the 90s, C or C++ or memory management. It was just, I just avoided that. I didn't want that headache. So I am inclined naturally to want to use memory safe languages for sure. Yeah, so, the way I look at it is that if you're using a language or a framework that has built-in security for you, built-in mechanisms that will make your code more robust without having to do work, then I'm all for that personally. But in terms of Rust and whether you should implement it, replacing old C++ code, I guess it's really project dependent. But apparently the people who are involved in it, who are doing it, they're finding great success with it. So does that mean you should drop C++ and learn Rust? No, not necessarily. But if there's a growing demand pushed by Google, pushed by Microsoft, even the White House, the current U.S. White House is saying, hey, use Rust. That's going to tell you what's going to happen right down the road. All right. Let's see what we got here for sound. All crisp, good to go. We can hear it. No lag on my end. Okay, good. So everything's good. Wah. All right, let's just get rid of this here. All right. So you let me know what you think. If you like this stream, give me a couple of thumbs up. Well, give me one thumb up. If you don't like my stream, give me 2 thumbs down. Show me how much you hate me. I'm using the dual cam action here to make it more interesting. And I assume you can hear me clearly. If you can't, you let me know in the comments. So let me answer a few questions. Platypus. Let me just do this. Hold on a second. Platypus. There we go. C++ code is hard and unreadable. Imagine matching a legacy code base. No doubt it's not as productive. Yeah, well, I have a good friend of mine who's a highly experienced C++ developer. And he says, what did he say to me? He says, if you have a problem that can only be solved with C++, better to have the problem. That's what he told me. So, and he's highly experienced C++ developer, that's for sure. So, yeah. Hello, Kevin, how are you? Good evening. Hope everything is well. I got the best bokeh hand in the live streaming game, right? All right. Antonius, what's up? Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Antonius, Cypress Rules. All right. Yeah, very hard to see the intention behind C++ code. Who here is a Cypriot? All right. Mojo, the Mojo programming language created by Chris Latner and his team annihilates both C++ and Rust. Oh, there you go. See, I have experienced in my career as a developer, there are times when you find a particular technology that is amazing. You go, wow, this is great, whether it be a language, whether it be a framework. The problem is you always have to recognize the market in terms of the particular technology you're using. The worst thing you could do is implement some great technology that's not really used by many people. And when that happens, it typically gets abandoned over time. And the worst thing you can have is a project that's using some hyper niche technology nobody else uses. It's not good. So yeah, you got to weigh those two things: the advantage that you see in the tech, and the marketability of the technology. Who here actually believes you can get the safety of Rust in C++ no matter what you do? I don't. That does not sound true. Yeah, I don't know. That's just what the founder of C++ was saying. Who knows? Hey, Fizz, how you doing, man? Long time. Hope everything is well. Get the memory safety of Rust in C++ is just impossible. And that, writing it properly, part man, that's going to curb your productivity by 90%. The standards are just too stringy and you're bound. Yeah. I've heard that too. Welcome back to Montreal. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. There we go. Hold on. What's going on? Do I have any? Yeah, just learn. Okay. What else? Alper, how are ya? When it comes to graphic engine development or low-level OS code, Rust can be C++ or still C++ has advantage in that regard. I don't know, man. I couldn't say. I'm not a Rust developer, and so I'm not going to give you my opinion on that technical. My real opinion here, I think the main point, well, first I'm just bringing this up so you're aware of what's going on out there, but I think the main thing I want to stress is that when you're looking at any technologies, you should look at what the adoption is. And when you got major players like Google and Microsoft saying go Rust, and even the White House, that tells me that Rust has a future. Now, is C++ going to go away, boom, like this? No, it's going to take time to go away. And as they said in that article, which I'll link to when I archive this on YouTube, as they said in the article, it only takes a few months before a developer gets comfortable with Rust. Yeah. But if you like low-level coding, you may want to start poking around with Rust for sure. I've been writing Rust for 2.5 years full-time professionally. What we achieved would have taken much longer with C++. So there you go. BTake KB is giving us the real-world experience. So yeah, that's worth a lot. Will C++ eventually become obsolete? You know, I would doubt it. It might take 10, 15 years, if ever, but it could happen. It could happen, especially if, again, for me, the fact I'm bringing this to the fore because Microsoft and Google is saying, hey, this is what we should be doing, and the White House. So that's significant, guys. That's significant. Rust is also good to learn if you want to get into coding smart contracts on the Solana blockchain. Uncle Steph, I've been studying C and C++ programming as part of my school curriculum for the past 3 months, and I must say it's quite challenging. You have any suggestion on how I can approach it? Well, what I would do, Osama, is I would just try to write a little bit of C++ code every day. The more you write it, the more your brain's going to realize that you need to learn this, and then it will start doing what it needs to do, creating the physical connections in your brain so that you understand C++. But just write a little every day. The more frequently that you expose your brain to it, the more quickly you'll come to understand it. And when those neural connections are finally made, boop, all of a sudden you understand C++ and you go, oh, okay, now I understand. But write a little every day, a little bit every day, and you will at times be writing code where you don't understand. That doesn't matter. Just write it, get it to work. Even if you don't quite understand why it's working, then break it and see what the error messages are when you break it, and then get it to work again. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This will help speed up the learning process for you. How important is getting a degree if I want to become a developer? Depends on the type of development work you want to do. I would argue that if you want to work for very large corporations, then you are probably better off getting a degree depending where you live, but that is dropping every year. I've done several videos where I've cited studies and articles where the need for degrees every year is just dropping. If you want to work freelance or small business or for small business or medium-sized business, then the degree is even less important. So yeah, I appreciate the thumbs, guys. If you can give me some thumbs up, that would be much appreciated. It's good for the Google algorithms. How are we doing here for time? Hold on a second. Okay, we're good. I got time. Hey, how are you, Sam? Hope everything is good. Welcome to the stream. What's the longest amount of time have you ever sat and coded? Whoa. Many hours, many hours. I don't remember the exact amount of time, to be honest with you, but many hours for sure. But in terms of maximum productivity, your brain can work at peak productivity for, I would say, depending on you, depending on how well rested you are, depending on how well you eat, and so forth, 4 to 5 hours. After that, your productivity just crashes. It's just the way our brains are working. So yeah, I wouldn't go much more than 4 or 5 hours, unless it's like very lightweight work or something. You're setting up your interfaces or something like that. Hey, Steph, what do you think of Rust? Do you think Rust is going to take over backend and microservices space because of its inherent low latency and memory safety? Well, I think that for systems that require high performant code, if I were to have to bet, I would say that over time, Rust is slowly going to gain a lot more traction simply because Google, Microsoft, and the White House and other organizations who are adopting Rust are now saying, yes, Rust is really good. Also, I know that C++ developers personally, they don't like C++. They find it's too much of a mess. So the short answer is, I think, I don't think you can go wrong with Rust. That said, let's say you're doing C++ and you find in 4 or 5 years, 6 years, you see a much less demand for C++, much more demand for Rust, then it will be pretty easy for you to pivot. It's not, as that article pointed out, it took people a few months to get comfortable with it. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that, you know? Steph, what is your view on the future of the dev market? Do you see JS remain dominant for the near medium term? Just curious. Yeah, I don't see JS going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, your investment in JS is fine. Again, JS, JavaScript, is part of that C family of language. So C, C++, C#, Java, JavaScript, PHP kind of. So if you learn JavaScript, it opens you up to all kinds of other languages like that, you know. Imagine Kotlin too. I haven't looked at Kotlin. Code Long. Hello, Tutorial Hell. Hope everything is well. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, everybody. My name is Uncle Steph. You don't know. Code Long and Profit. I ripped this off of Star Trek. I don't hire developers unless they can do this naturally. They can't do this naturally. It tells me they're not true nerds. Okay, what do we got? Okay, Michael. I keep jumping around between languages, unable to commit to one. There's just no joy, or that joy peters out. How do you stick to one? Oops. How do you stick to one? I've been taking your course, but started dabbling in Rust. I have an expression. You're nowhere. If you're halfway there, you're nowhere. If you are halfway there, you're nowhere. So I would complete my courses, because there's a method to my madness in terms of my curriculum. Complete them. And then once you've completed them, then build something, build an interactive website or something, then jump into Rust. But when you're first starting out, you want to complete the training at least on one language. That is for sure. I learned this a long time ago in martial arts, by the way. I had been, so how old was I? I may have been 17 or 18. And at that point, I started doing martial arts when I was 10 years old. And so when I was 17 years old or 18 years old, something like that, I forget. And I was training 3 martial arts at the same time. I was doing judo or wrestling, catch kembo, and I forget the other one, it was aikido or something, or taekwondo. Anyway, so one of my teachers pulled me aside. He said, Steph, you've been doing martial arts for several years now, and you're like stuck in intermediate mode, he told me. And the reason you are is because you're spreading your focus across too many styles. So pick a style, whatever style, and get really good at that. And when you do, your whole game across the board will get much better. So I picked the style and I did that, got my black belt. And what happened is my abilities just got much better. And I was much better at judo as a result. I was much better at taekwondo as a result. I was much better at Muay Thai as a result, et cetera, and so on. So yeah, pick a language, complete it, get good at it, and then start dabbling into other languages after that. I hope that makes sense. Have you ever written software for use in your own personal life? Well, all the time. all the time. I stopped doing contract work for other companies, but 2001, something like that. That may have been my last contract. I think my last contract for 2001. And then I just started building my own software, my own SaaS products. So I had an online dating site that just grew, and I shut it down because I had too many swingers in it. So I said I didn't want too many swingers. So I shut that down. And then like my current training system, Studioweb, is an interactive training platform that I designed. And I've done all kinds of things in between. So I've written, in the last many years, the software I've written for my own businesses, really, if that's what you meant. Hey guys, if you don't mind, give me some likes, give me some thumbs if you like the stream. We have 84 people, only 44 thumbs. So you know how it is with the algorithms. It helps me out. Let's Google's bot, I guess they have a bot. Lets the bot know that you guys like this stream. What do you think of learning? What do you think about learning Java in 2024? Java's good. Java's not going anywhere anytime soon. So learn it if you like it. Learn it, dabble, see what's up. Take it from there. If you're going to do Android, though, learn Kotlin instead. Is it possible to build a chat app like WhatsApp with Rust programming language? I would imagine so. I haven't looked at Rust. I just looked at it briefly. I did Hello World and a few other things. So I don't have an expert eye. There's a Rust developer on here. I'm sure he could tell you. I'm sure he must have ability to create sockets and connections. And if it does, then you can do it for sure. But the Rust guy on here, I'm sure he can answer that. Just look at Rust and just look at the I/O capabilities of Rust and take it from there. That will tell you. Grateful insists on will SpaceX change C++ stack to Rust? I don't know. Go ask Elon Musk. He'll tell you. Do you have news about Carbon Lang? No. I haven't looked at that. After learning basics of Python, which specialty should I pursue? Machine learning? Well, do you want to be, Mohammed, do you want to become, you want to get into AI? Is that your thing? What I would do is, since you know Python, go to TensorFlow, Google, and I'm pretty sure they have a Python interface for you, or just learn JavaScript if they don't, and then play around with it, see if you like it. You know, when you're choosing any career, don't just chase the money or what's hot. Also look at what you like to do. What skills do you think will be the most relevant in the new age of AI? Organizational skills. I think things like being good at, being good at highly optimized algorithm writing. Not that it's ever been super important these days. Being a master of the minutia, if you will, of coding will become less important. It will be much more about being able to organize the big picture of coding, if that makes any sense. That's my 2 cents on that. Let's get the likes up, guys. Not bad, 58. So how are we doing here? Okay, 5:30. Thoughts on Swift for freelance? I like Swift a lot. I like the programming language a lot. How is this now? Let's go break. I like Swift a lot as a programming language, but for freelance, I don't think you're going to get too many freelance gigs. It's not a comment on Swift as a language. I think it's a great language. But if you guys don't know, Swift is Microsoft. It's Apple's light and nimble language. It's high-level language, but it's very powerful. It's easy to write. It's well-formed. But it's mostly iOS development, macOS development, although IBM had ported it to the server for web app development, but it never went anywhere. Although there is, I think they've kept the project alive. I forget what it's called now. But anyway, no, I don't think, to answer your question, Swift for freelance, maybe for iOS development, but not as a freelancer, maybe as a contractor, but just look into the market. If you want to freelance, the king of freelance has been forever, and it will be for a while. It's the king of freelance is, of course, the web stack with PHP, WordPress, Drupal. I moved from PHP and now work mostly in the JavaScript ecosystem. Best move I ever did and having so much fun. Very cool, man. Why I want to be a freelancer, is that possible after your program? Yeah, Sebastian, my program is very much geared towards freelance. In fact, 40% of the people in my mentoring program, UncleSteph.com, shameless promote. You can look at the links below. 40% of the people in my program are already pro developers, and they're there to level up their skill as developers and or to become freelancers or maybe start their own SaaS products. I even have a couple of CTOs, more than a couple. I have a handful of CTOs in the program as well. They're just there to pick my brain, you know. But yeah, it's very much oriented towards the program. My program's oriented towards freelance quite a bit. There's freelance training, entrepreneurial training, small project management, all these type of things. Do you think it's fair to say that you should learn new tech according to your project work needs, or do you think you should set additional time for new learning even if you're not using it? No, once you got your basics down, you've built your first few projects, let the projects dictate what languages and which technologies you learn. Unless you decide you want to, I don't know, let's say you're a web stack person, you decide, I want to go into AI, then go learn it. But don't run around learning just because you feel you have to learn. Get paid to learn. Get paid to learn. You know, pay attention to the market as well. You know, that helps. Rust is a king. Rust is a tool, not king. Battle of the nerds, man. Ding, ding. Wrong camera. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. I'm a mechatronic engineer trying to transition to software engineering. I am currently learning Java. I heard it's about to die, leaving place to call it. Am I taking the right path? Well, Java is not about to die. It's going to take a long time for Java to die, if it ever dies. So, number one. Number two, if you learn Java, all those skills you learn in Java will be 100% transferable to Kotlin. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I would do job searches in your area. Find out what the job demand is for a Java developer, what's the job demands are for Kotlin developers, and take it from there. But let me emphasize, this is one of my basic lessons that I keep trying to emphasize in all my videos. You can't really learn a wrong programming language. You can't, because it's like learning to program is like learning to drive cars. Once you learn how to drive a Porsche, to drive a Ferrari, to drive a BMW, to drive an Audi, whatever, it's all good. It's pretty transferable, the skill set. Make sense? So let's say you learn Java and you get comfortable with Java, and then you find out, oh, I got to learn Kotlin. Well, it'll take you about 2-3 weeks to get your head wrapped around Kotlin, if that long. Because Kotlin sits on top of the JVM. So learning how to learning what the JVM is and what it can do is a bigger part of the process. So don't worry about it. Jean-Pierre Schutt, if you code Rust, then you understand what I mean. Okay. What about Laravel? Laravel is great. If you're going to be doing PHP web stack development, Laravel's king. It's dominant in the market, and it's, I haven't looked at the other ones in years, the other frameworks, but Laravel is a PHP full stack framework, if you guys are not aware. It's very good. Studioweb is built with Laravel, and it's been very effective for us for many years. C++, you want to draw Rust if you want to brag. Maybe right now, but it could be that things are changing. We'll see. In the context of building blockchain, building smart contracts using Rust is good and more secure performance than Solidity. I don't know. You should have to talk to those people about that. There's a Rust developer here. By the way, if you look below this video, there is links to my Discord. So I have a Discord channel. It's free, of course. And there's over 3,000 people there. 3,500. So there's a good core group. It's well moderated. So if you want to continue conversations about Rust or anything else, I invite you to join the Discord. Links below. Links below. I keep hearing about Python being a great first language, but can't find many jobs for it. It's a good first language because the syntax is kind of English readable, if you will. Jobs, a lot of jobs. See, that's the misleading thing about Python. A lot of the jobs are in, AI, academics. They're in big data. So there's a lot of work with Python. But yeah, you probably find a lot more work in, JavaScript, Java, C#. Unless you're in one of these specialized fields, How's the sound, guys? I assume you guys can hear me pretty clearly. Everything's good. Yeah. How we doing there? Yeah. If you don't mind, if you're new to the stream, I'm Uncle Steph. If you like my stream, the nerd news like this, please give me a thumbs up. It's good for the algorithms, If freelancing with WordPress and PHP, do you need to know JavaScript? You don't need to know much JavaScript. When it comes to freelancing, PHP is king. So it's going to be HTML, CSS3, PHP, a little bit of JavaScript if you're doing WordPress is written in PHP. You need to know a little bit, but not much. Just learn the basics. You do my basic JavaScript course. That's more than enough. Can you give me like a reference? I'm looking for a job badly. Anish, it's hard for me to give you a reference because I don't really know. I don't know what you can do or not. So I couldn't give you a reference like that. Go look at my previous videos on how to prepare yourself and maximize your potential for getting a job. I've done lots of streams on it. You can go look on my YouTube channel. You can find it and you can get some details. What are the advantages of MacBook and macOS in general for programming compared to Windows, Linux laptops? I don't know if there's any specific advantage. I just get the MacBook because I like macOS. I like the machines. They look good. macOS is as you know, you may not know, it's FreeBSD. So it's it's Linux, it's Unix under the hood. So it's very stable, but you can produce good code in all the platforms. So one doesn't have a particular advantage over another. Need a nerd as you need. Yeah, well, need to nerd. Learn on a need to nerd basis. Trademark. I got the domain too. Sid says, I'm really interested in your mentorship program. UncleSteph.com. Check it out. But I need to convince the company I work for to pay for it. They do have a professional development budget and usually covers all the costs. Well, Sid, if training and being mentored by somebody with decades of experience in industry, having worked on several projects for publicly traded companies, I deal with many government institutions, well, the schools. That's the argument for me. And also, I'm actually far more affordable. The price is a bargain relative to other boot camps. So there you go. Let me know if you have any other questions. I would be happy to ask about anything related to the program. I've been doing embedded for many years now. I hope Rust gets bigger. It would take a lot of time for embedded since the vendors are tied to C. Not even C++ is there. I hope Rust Linux adoption helps. I think it will, man. And the fact that Google and Microsoft and the White House are now pushing Rust, that's going to be huge. You know how it is. You always say it's fine to change the language after some time, but it seems to be just a wasting of time. For instance, if I want to be a C++ developer and start from JS because it's simpler. No, not necessarily. I'm not sure what you're saying. Oh, you're saying, Mr. Ritter, Cruz Ritter, you're saying if I want to do C++, I should just do C++ as opposed to JavaScript and then C++. That would make sense on its surface, but you would still be wrong. And the reason you'd be wrong is because JavaScript just makes learning to program much easier than C++. So you'll be able to get there much more quickly. Get there meaning getting to a level of understanding much more quickly, typically, than you would with C++. So that means when you jump over C++, you will already understand those concepts. And so instead of you taking 10 hours to learn the concept and to understand it in C++, maybe you'll learn and understand it in 2 hours in JavaScript. So that's the whole point of it. It's kind of like training wheels on a bicycle, right? It just facilitates the process. Trust me on that one. Anyway, learning JavaScript is not a waste of time. JavaScript is high demand, performance language. So yeah, I would still recommend you learn JavaScript first, then jump to C++. There are not much Rust jobs. End of nerd fight. Mr. Katsu 2013 is a very practical person, and there's some truth to that. There's no jobs. Who cares if it's the best? I'm learning CPP only to, I guess it's C++, only to develop my brain and become smart. Well, that's fine, man. If that's your goal and it works for you, then do it. Sound is great. Cool. Merci beaucoup, Jean-Pierre. Chut. I appreciate it. I made good money. How are we doing for time? Ooh, I'm going to have to leave soon. I made good money when I was unemployed with PHP, and I guess what? I was just using templates. I said, hey, it works. Listen, if don't feel guilty about using templates or frameworks or languages. If you're using a high-level language, you're using other people's code. You're using a framework, you're using other people's code. You're using Linux, you're using other people's code, right? So WordPress templates. Hey, if it makes you money, why not? I think the biggest advice for today is this one. There's no way to go wrong with picking up a programming language to learn to code. It's like learning to drive a car. Yeah, that's it, man. There's people... There's a lot of myths out there that are put out by the nerdlings, the nerdling YouTubers and so forth. And one of the myths I'm trying to dispel is you can learn, that is, the myth is that you can learn a wrong language. That's a myth for the reasons I just described. Don't be nervous. Look at the job market, look at what you like to do, then pick a language, learn it, and then see what happens. You can't waste your time learning a language. The first language you learn a lot about programming. So let's say you start with JavaScript, and then you jump to Python. What's going to happen is by learning Python, you're going to become better at JavaScript, believe it or not, because you're going to see certain fundamental concepts and constructs in programming. You'll see how Python expresses them, and that will give you more insight into how JavaScript expresses them. So ironically, by learning Python, your JavaScript will get better. That's why in my mentoring program, and that's in my just my basic web stack course, I teach 3 programming languages. I teach JavaScript, PHP, and Python. Why? Because by learning the 3 languages, your overall understanding of programming will increase quite a bit. If I really wanted to go crazy, then I would say you learn a strongly typed language like a Java or C# afterwards. And then you're going to be a pro. What's going on here? Oh, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you, Sid. I appreciate it. If you like the stream, please give me a thumbs up. It's getting dark, and I got to go eat a steak, a Mexican steak. So, yeah. Let me know what you think. If you have any other questions I didn't answer, you can put them under this video. And if you're interested in my mentoring program, check me out at unclesteph.com. Links below. If you want to do my standalone courses, whether JavaScript, PHP, Python, whether you want to learn the web, below. And if you want to learn to refactor, check out the links below. Anyway, there you go. Last question from Tiana. Madame Forêt, I discovered you in 2012 and decided that you were the best source to learn web development from back then. Yada, yada. Hold on. Yada, yada. I'm so glad I was able to rediscover you on YouTube when I came back around. Well, thanks for watching my stuff, Tiana. Much appreciated. All right, everyone. Cheers. Code long and profit. It's getting a little dark out. Code long and profit. We'll talk soon. I'm out of here. I'm going to go get myself some Mexican food. Very tasty stuff. All right. Cheers. All right. Yeah, Sid, let me know. If he has any questions, just email me, Stefan at Studioweb, and I'll be happy to answer. All right, thanks, guys. Can I learn programming without attending university, especially if I can't afford it? Yeah, don't go to university, man. You can learn it, no problem. Don't get into student loan debt. University is slowly falling away. All right, cheers, dude. Bye-bye. Cape Elizabeth, hold on. There we go. We're going to go with this.